Yeah, that looks okay.
Morning, everyone.
Morning, Rabbi.
Good Chodesh Tov. We are learning Mishnah Nazir, Perek Zion, Chapter 7, Mishnah Gimel, Mishnah 3. Now, we began this yesterday. We'll run through what we did yesterday, and then we'll continue. So the discussion in the Mishnah is those things that make a Nazir impure, but they do not make him have to shave his head, bring the sacrifices for being impure, and starting over again. So aval hasachachais v'aprois. These were branches or projections out of a wall that there was a mace, there was, let's say, a flesh of a mess that was under it, and the Nazir doesn't know which one he went under. Ubei sapras. That was an area that a grave was a field that a grave was a field in which there was a grave was plowed over. The Chachamim say we have to be concerned that perhaps some bone fragments have been spread all around a 100 amma area. The Eretz Ha'amim, the nation, the land of the nations. That means outside of Eretz Yisrael. These are all four rabbinic sources of impurity. Va'goylo va'doifek means the cover of a grave, the walls of a grave, of a coffin rather, or revius dam, a quarter lug of blood, v'oil v'roiv atzamais. If we're talking about a quarter lug of blood or a quarter kav of bone that is under a tent, these things will make the kohen, the Nazir, tamei. However, again, it will not cancel his naziris. The kelim anoigim b'meis are utensils that touch a dead body that have the same status as a dead body. Although this group, so the first group that we had up to it, including it said the land of the nations, those are all rabbinic decrees of impurity. They are considered impurity related to a dead body, but they are rabbinic. And the next ones that we just read, the next five we just read, were all actually Torah laws of being impure, like coming into contact with a dead body. But again, being that these are not considered impurities directly coming from the corpse, therefore here too, we say the rule is that they do not cause, this is not considered, these are not make the Nazir a Nazir tamei, he has to shave his head, start all over again, and bring sacrifices. This is what we got up to yesterday. Now, the next group is going to also be a group of a situation where a person is tummy for 7 days, but has nothing to do with a corpse. Now, just to understand this, and later on in the Mishnah, a quick introduction. So we're going to be talking about a mitzvah, a person stricken with saras, a certain type of skin discolorations, and a mitzvah goes through 3 stages of tuma before becoming tahar. Number 1, when the signs of saras first appear in his skin, he goes to a kohen to have it determined whether he indeed has saras. Often the signs are not definite, and the kohen must therefore quarantine him for 1 or 2 weeks to see whether definite signs develop. These days are known as Yemei Haskera, the days of his confinement. So Yemei Haskera, he is tamei during that period of time. It's going to be at least a week that he's going to be there. He's going to be in this situation. And that's when we're trying to determine whether those signs in his skin are tsaras or not. That's Yemei Haskera, the days of his being confined. Next, we get in the when the person is confirmed to have tsaras. This period is known as Yemei Gomrei, the days of his confirmed tsaras. And then the third stage is when he is finally healed. He must undergo a purification procedure, which takes 7 days. This period is known as Yemei Safrai, the days of his counting. Meaning these are the days he counts to see until he can become fully pure. So although a mitzvah is tamei during all 3 of these stages, the levels of tumah are different. That's not a discussion for now. Okay, so basically, let's go back to the Mishnah now. Continue. V'imei safrai, the days of his counting. V'imei gamrai, and the days of his being confirmed. This state of being confirmed as a tsaras, and then even after the tsaras has been healed, he has to count 7 days before he can go through the whole process of becoming tar again. So this is the last group in which we say, now these following words are going to be going back pretty much on everything that we said before. I'll explain what I mean pretty much. Al elu eina nazir megaleach. For these things, the nazir does not shave his head. Umaze b'shlishi b'shvi. He gets sprinkled on day 3 and day 7 of after becoming impure. The eina seiser es hakaidmin. However, he does not cancel anything that he did previously. Umaskle mene miyad. And once he becomes pure, he starts and he counts immediately. The carbon ein loy, and there is no sacrifice that he brings. This is the point of all these things mentioned in the Mishnah. The main point is that, number one, as the Mishnah says, for these things, the whole list that we just said until now, the Nazir does not shave his head. That's number one. Now, the next thing brought down, he sprinkles on day 3 and day 7, only relates to impurity that relates to a corpse, right? You don't get sprinkled on day 3 and day 7 for being a Metzora. Okay? So that's only mentioned regarding the corpse tumas. He does not cancel what he did before. If he kept, it was a 30-day Naziris, and kept 20 until he became Tameh from any of these things, those 20 days still count. Doesn't have to start all over again. He starts and he counts immediately. Now, starts and he counts immediately means to say, actually, that during the days that he is Tameh, those days do not count. You can't include those days, but rather, once he becomes pure, he starts and counts right away. He leaves off from what he left off before. He had 20 days before, now he only has to do another 10 days. The carbon ein loy, and there's no sacrifice, means we know that a Nazir Tameh, another becomes Tameh, has to bring a set of sacrifices. That does not apply in any of these cases. Actually, one other thing that I skipped, when it says before, for these things, the Nazir does not cut his hair. If he's a Metzora, he's going to cut his hair, because as a Metzora, he has to cut his hair. Okay, so that's that. Then Mishnah concludes, Be'emes Amru, in truth they said, which means this is a definitely accepted halacha. Yemei hazav v'hazav yemei askera shel Metzora. The days of a man being a zav and a woman being a zava, and the days that the Metzora was confined. Harei elu eilen loy. These days actually count towards the days of his Naziris. So a Zav is a man who experiences a series of seminal emissions that make him a Tameh. A Zava is a woman who experiences an unusual blood flow that makes her Tameh. Both must wait 7 clean days without any further emissions, for they can immerse themselves in a mikveh and become tahar. The days of their tumah purification count towards the completion of their terms of Naziris. They're actually Tameh. But when they're Tameh because of these things, those days can still count. And then the other part mentioned was the days of the Metzora being confined. Those, as we said before, is a period of time that he's confined to see if the discolorations in his skin are actually tsaras or not. During those periods of time, he's going to at least be Tameh for 7 days. But as we said before, that stage of being impure is not as severe as the other stages of impurity of Metzora, and therefore we say that these days that he's actually confined will count towards his Naziris. So that means that if, let's say, he made himself a Nazir for 30 days, after 20 days he had these discolorations, he was confined for a week. So has he finished his Naziris? The answer is yes, because they actually count. In the other cases, we say that those days that he was impure, they do not count. However, they don't cancel anything, and therefore he just continues when he becomes pure. But in the last cases, the Zav, the Zava, the Metzora who's confined, all these people are actually Tameh during that period of time. Nonetheless, these types of impurity do not allow him to count them towards his Naziris, but they actually do count towards his Naziris, and then he continues from there if need be. But it's not like the other ones where those days don't count, and he just begins his count after he becomes pure. Have a wonderful day, a good Chodesh Tov.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Good Shabbos.
A question.
And a good Shabbos.
And a Shabbat Shalom.
That too, yeah, that too.
So